What's going on, everybody? All right, we are in U.S. Open weekend, which is fantastic. Father's Day weekend, I know, same thing. A lot of good stuff going on. Remember, on Sunday, I will be posting my Father's Day special edition of Off Topic with Darren of Return to Collecting. It's going to be me and Darren, as always, and our guests will be my dad and Darren's dad, who I got to meet at the National last year. Fantastic guy. You are going to love this discussion, conversation, a little bit of a peek behind what a young Greg and a young Darren collector look like as we ask our dads some of these fun questions. Also, Sunday is the deadline for the Midlife Community Show and Tell. If you have a card that you picked up during the month of May that you would like included in the show and tell episode, down below in the description, there is a link that will take you to a place to upload that. Remember also, if you upload a card, your favorite pickup, you're automatically entered to win one of 4 $25 gift cards to the Penny Sleever. The Penny Sleever, I genuinely believe, has the best hobby supplies. Check that out. Check out their website, thepennysleever.com. But check out that video, which we'll be posting in about a week. This episode this week is going to be interesting because one of the things I really, again, I like following trends. I like seeing what's happening in the hobby. And the best way to do that is to actually look at recent sales. And as always, some of the recent sales are absolutely mind-blowing. And included in them being mind-blowing, this month I do something a little bit different towards the end of the episode, so bear with me, where I look at some comps of other sales compared to some of these sales. Specifically with the 10 moonshot pickups. You're going to want to take a look at this because, you're going to want to take a look. It's very interesting. Now, before I get into the recent sales from last month for under $50 plus 10 moonshot big time purchases, let's take a quick look at a gift that I was sent. My buddy Larry, one of my longest supporters on the channel, sent me a really nice note with a really nice item from his collection, which is this autograph from Sammy Baugh. And his note mentioned how this was from his collection, which he's had from the 90s. I'll tell you guys, when you give a gift, to me, it's not about the value of the gift. It's not about the eye appeal of the gift. It's about the meaning of the gift. And the fact that Larry has had this long in his collection and said it's time for it to have a new home. You just finished your Sammy Baugh run, which I showed on a recent video. Now you need his autograph. Larry, my friend, this means a lot. It will be treasured. Thank you so much for that. Guys, let's take a look at 40 card sales off of eBay during the month of May that sold for under $50. I'm going to point out the 5 that surprised me the most, and then we'll take a look at 10 moonshots. But remember, the moonshots this month, I'm going to pull up some comps to compare some things. And that is what really blew me away this month. How about this beautiful 58 Topps Whitey Ford in a PSA 4? Tell me you don't like the 58 Topps set when you see a card like that selling for right around $49. That is such a great image. Again, I love the colored backgrounds on the back of these cards. Fantastic. Next, we've got a 1960 Sandy Koufax, a well-centered copy there. It's an SGC 2.5, but the eye appeal is definitely off the charts. And that card sold for $48. We got a Sandy Koufax. Remember, his rookie card was the 55 top set, so this is still pretty early in his career. Short career, but still. This is a 68 Topps Hank Aaron in a PSA 3. This one's a little off-center, but it's Hank Aaron, and it's a card from the 1960s, and it was just $48. I love that image, and it's a pretty iconic 68 Topps set, so that seemed like a pretty good one. Next, another card with Hank Aaron on it. How about this beautiful 59 Topps Fence Busters in an SGC 5? Again, eye appeal seems great to me. Sold for $46 during the month of May. Eddie Matthews and Hank Aaron. Cool card. Now, this cool card caught me off guard. That seems pretty amazing. This 67 Dexter Press Premium. It blew my mind that a PSA 6 of this would be selling for $46. Isn't that about what it costs to get slabbed? That was cool. Curt Flood, a potential future Hall of Famer. Well, this is his rookie card. Another 58 Topps card this time in an SGC 5 holder. Came in at $45 on a very important player, a guy who I do think makes the Hall of Fame at some point. How about another 58 card, this time a 58 Topps Ernie Banks All-Star. I talked about the 58 Topps All-Star set recently. This PSA 5 color match with the blue background on his blue cap of one of the more likable players of all time, Ernie Banks, for just over $44. How about a Willie Mays card? A 67 Topps Willie Mays was, again, the grade is a 3, but that's a nice looking card. It's a great image of him. One of the better pictures of Willie Mays on a card in my eyes. $43.56 on that one. How about a Hall of Fame rookie card? We got Gaylord Perry, the 1962 Topps Gaylord Perry in a PSA 4. Man, for right around $45. Again, when that card seems to have dropped too much in my eyes. $45 for that card. A 57 Topps Roy Campanella. This is a PSA 4. A really cool card of a really important and legendary catcher for a legendary team. This Campanella card came in at $42.77. A little off-center side to side, but I think it's a beauty. Next, we got another Ernie Banks card. This time we have a 66 Topps Ernie Banks and a PSA 5. Man, that's a beautiful card. Pretty recently graded. That's just a 5, huh? $42 on that card. Man, Ernie Banks, he is one of those guys I don't know, maybe I should start a run on Ernie Banks. We got the second Whitey Ford card of the run here, and this is a 57 Topps. This card sold for $41.99, and kind of an iconic image of him. A lot of his cards, he's kind of got this follow-through image. Very cool. We got a 64 Topps stand-up of Joe Torre. Joe Torre, all of my fellow Yankee fans love Joe Torre. I don't know, Joe Torre just seems like a kind of a likable guy. This is a PSA 6.5 of the stand-up, and it sold for $41.03. That seems like a pretty good deal. I threw in a Gil Hodges this month, as always, for my buddy Mookie. This is a 54 Topps Gil Hodges in an SGC 3. The 54 Topps, one of the best sets of all time. According to the rankings the other night, it's the best of the 50s for the Topps cards. Got a little bit of hate on those rankings, but that's okay. Here we've got a very cool card, a 67 Topps Fence Busters with Willie Mays and Willie McCovey, an SGC 3.5. Again, though the grade may say 3.5, my eyes say, yes, please. That is a cool-looking card for under $40. How about another multiplayer card with Willie Mays? This is a 58 Topps Rival Fence Busters, and this is a beautifully centered one. I picked this one. There were a couple that sold for under $50 this month, but this one stood out because it just seemed absolutely stunning. and it was just $38. How about this Richie Ashburn from the 51 Bowman set? 51 Bowman, obviously one of the most iconic sets of all time. It's got the Mantle rookie, the Mays rookie, and some other great Hall of Famers like Richie Ashburn for just $37 in a PSA 3. Seems like a pretty good deal to me. How about another Hall of Fame rookie card, this time a Don Sutton from the 1966 top set in a PSA 4. Well-centered card of the Hall of Famer, and that card sold for just $37. Again, unless you've got the membership to PSA, you're paying $25 just to get a card slabbed, so $37 seems pretty good if you ask me. Another Hall of Fame rookie card, this time Joe Morgan, one of the best second basemen of all time. A 65 Topps Joe Morgan in an SGC3. Again, though, look at the eye appeal on that card. And that card sold for $35? My gosh. How about the first Topps card of Stan Musial, his 58 Topps All-Star? And it's in an SGC4 holder. Again, great eye appeal. I think this is a beautiful image of one of the best and most underrated players of all time. And that card sold for $34. We have another Richie Ashburn card. This is from another awesome Bowman set, this time the 53 Bowman Color. And it's a PSA 3, well-centered card. Beautiful image, as most of the 53 Bowmans are. This card sold for $34. Again, $25 to get it graded. That sold for $34. Do the math. Next, how about 3 Hall of Famers now that Dick Allen is headed in himself? The 67 Topps NL RBI leaders is such a beautiful card of 3 all-time greats. This SGC5 copy sold for $33. Now, how about this? A 62 Bell brand Don Drysdale. Now, I know a lot of us are attracted to the Topps and we're attracted to the Leaf and to the Bowman. But some of these smaller release cards, a little bit harder to find. $33 on this awesome Don Drysdale card. How about a second-year Bob Gibson? Yes, the 1960 Topps Bob Gibson is his second card. And this SGC3 sold for $33. That is my second choice. Now, it's not that that card doesn't always sell for cheap. It's just I don't understand how it does. $33 for that. We got Whitey Ford's last card. I know there are a lot of last card collectors out there. Again, there's that kind of follow-through image, similar to the 57 Topps we saw earlier. And this PSA 5 sold for $32.80. You have all the stats on the back of that one. Next, we've got a 61 Golden Press of Bill Dickey, but it's autographed. I love having a variety of cards in these, and the Golden Press has some really cool images of some of the all-time greats. Bill Dickey, an all-time great catcher, a Yankee legend, $32 for it autographed. Another set, I should say, that's pretty cool is the 61 New Card Scoops. This one is of Ty Cobb. It's in an SGC 6.5. And it sold for $32. A Ty Cobb card from 1961, $32. Pretty cool. I've had some of those Scoops cards myself. Here's a 64 Topps Don Drysdale. Beautiful. Look at there's something about the 64 Topps. It's just clean looking. And Don Drysdale very much overlooked, living in the shadows of Sandy Koufax. And this card sold for just under $30. Now, when you talk about the 58 Topps All-Stars, there are few images that I think look better than that of Frank Robinson, his All-Star card here in a PSA 4. Look at that. He's just like a young stud right there. And that card sold for $29 last month on eBay. Seems pretty good to me. How about our first football card? The 69 Topps Johnny Unitas in a PSA 4. This is, again, I've mentioned this. I try to pull one card from this set each month because I just absolutely love the 69 Topps football set. And this Johnny Unitas card sold for $28. Wow. 58 tops. Again, I mentioned earlier how much I like it. Here's another great tight image of none other than Eddie Matthews. Eddie Matthews was such a stud. And again, because he played with Hank Aaron, he gets overlooked, sort of like Willie McCovey to Willie Mays. And $27.99 on this gorgeous PSA 3 card. How about a 68 tops stand-up of a football card of Joe Namath in SGC2? But again, check the eye appeal. Look at the centering. Look at how beautiful that card looks. It was just $27 of Joe Namath, one of the most popular players of all time in the NFL. Look at this, 59 top Sparky Anderson, a legendary manager, Hall of Famer, and an SGC 6, really well centered. It blows my mind that that card was $26.01. $26 for that card. We have a 58 tops rival fence busters of, again, a couple of all-time greats. I just felt like when a card like this is selling for right around $25, it's crazy to me that you can get a card with two guys like that on it that looks like that for $25. We got a Fergie Jenkins rookie card. So we have another Hall of Fame rookie card. This is the fourth Hall of Fame rookie card of the month, and this PSA 4 sold for $26. It blows my mind that you can get a Hall of Famer from 1966 in a PSA 4 for $26. How about another 64 tops card, this time Willie McCovey? Again, an absolute stud slugger of his era. And this McCovey card sold for under $25. Again, sometimes I see these 64 tops cards, and that set just looks so awesome. I'm like, they just grab my attention, and I like to add them. Here is a cool 68 tops of Johnny Unitas in an SGC 5. And this one sold for $23.50. Beautiful card of one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Again, SGC 5, that's a high-grade card. Next, we have a 67 Philadelphia of Bart Starr. I love the color match on this. The yellow border grabs some of his jersey, the stripes on his sleeve there. And this card was just $20.50 on the Bart Starr card. And last but not least, another shout out to Mookie, the 69 tops decals of Tom Seaver in a PSA 3, $20. Last of the 40 deals for the month. And yes, blows my mind for sure. All right, so those were the 40 deals under $50. Let's take a look at 10 cards that were big buys during the month of May. And I'm going to get into a little bit of an analysis here too. All right. So this first one, we have a 1960 tops Carroll Hardy. Carroll Hardy, guys. PSA 9. Sold for $6,665. Carroll Hardy. 1960 tops. Why? Why, you ask? Well, I'm sure it's because it's a PSA 9. So it got me thinking. I said, well, what does a PSA 8 go for? A PSA 8 of the same card. Now, you look at the two pictures. Very similar looking cards, right? The 8 sells for $50. I know. Everyone's going to yell at me. It's because of the set registry. I know. But people also continue to yell, buy the card, not the grade. How is this not buying the grade, not the card? It's a $6,615 savings to get the 8 instead. Now, Bob Turley was a really good player for the Yankees. And my dad is a Turley fan. He had some big-time moments in the postseason for the Yankees. And this is a 1959 tops Bob Turley in a PSA 10. Now, yes, it's off center. Maybe, 60-40? Off center.
but it still sold for $7,877. If this card was not a 10 and instead it was a 9, you would save $7,590. So what would you rather have? The two cards look very similar. $7,590 and the 9 or the 10? I'm going with the 9. In fact, I'm probably going with like a nice looking 6 instead. But again, I know it's the set registry, but it's ludicrous. Here we go with a 54 Bowman Mickey Mantle and an SGC 8. That's a gorgeous card. I think it deserves every bit of the 8. And that card sold for just under $10,000 at $9,618.21. What an absolutely stunning card of one of his best looking cards. All right, here we go. A 1968 Bob Gibson. Now, a minute ago, we saw a second-year Bob Gibson selling for like $25, $30. But this is a 10. It's a 68 tops in a 10. And it sold for $11,100. $11,100 for this card. So what would it sell for if it was a 9? Apparently a 9 isn't cheap either, as a 9 is just over, well, somewhere between $700 and $800. So if you get a 9, you would save $10,335. Everyone keeps saying, buy the card, not the grade, buy the card, not the grade, but then people are buying the grade, not the card. So why do we need to keep saying it? Because people are doing it. Is it wrong? No, it's not, but are we card collecting or are we grade collecting? That's really the question. Here's another high grade card, this time a Mickey Mantle. So we have a 62 tops Mickey Mantle All-Star and a PSA 9. That card sold for like $13,000. $13,000 in a 9. But if it was an 8, it'd be about $1,200. So if you go from a 9 to an 8, again, look at the two cards. Very similar looking cards. The 8 saves you $12,599. Is the difference between those two cards, the 8 to the 9, is it really worth $12,600? Now, again, I don't care how people spend their money, but isn't that a massive jump for a number difference? The cards don't look much different, but the number is different by 1. Here's a beautiful 1950 Bowman Jackie Robinson. Iconic image of him. Beautiful card. This sold for $27,500 on the PSA 8 card. Absolutely stunning. Another Jackie Robinson, this time a 52 tops. I don't know if I've seen one centered quite this well before. This one doesn't have the tilt that they all seem to have. This SGC 6 sold for just over $30,000. But it is gorgeous. It's about as nice a looking one as you're going to see. I mean, wow. All right, how about a Sandy Koufax rookie in a PSA 8 holder? This card sold for just under $35,000. Look at the centering on that thing. The color on it. The lack of the print dots on it. Gorgeous Sandy Koufax card. His rookie card. Again, just under $35,000 on the PSA 8. What a monster card that thing is. Next, we've got the Johnston Cookies, Hank Aaron, in a PSA 9, none higher. The 54 Johnston Cookies sold for right at $35,000. If you are a Hank Aaron registry guy, that thing would score you some points. Now, that is an absolutely beautiful card from the same year as his Topps rookie. And rounding out the month, a really well-centered and really beautiful card from the 1961 Fleer set of Wilt Chamberlain in a PSA 8. $47,500 on the Wilt Chamberlain rookie card. Let me know your thoughts on this month's cards, the moonshots especially, and what do you think about the huge price jump when going up one because of the registry? I get a premium. I get the set registry. Would you pay the premium to go up one? That's my question.